But it's the idea of being relatable and yet unknowable, and then
Mm-hmm.
aspirational but unattainable. So
Mm-hmm.
it's these like walking this tightrope between you can be her, but also you can never be her. You never will be
Oh,
her.
Hi, and welcome back to the Bias Cut podcast.
so the Carolyn Bessette Kennedy show came out this week. It's not just about her; it's about
Yes.
her and JFK Jr.
But he's irrelevant.
Who cares
Of
about
course.
JFK Jr.? Um, this shows
Truly.
it's. Do you guys like know about them?
See, I didn't know anything about them, and I did watch the first 3 episodes. So I know a little bit more. But
Right,
it feels like a very American thing, and it was very 90s.
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
90s.
I feel like I kind of knew generally about them, but then with this coming out, I did do a deep dive into the Kennedys, and they're a crazy family.
So the show is very controversial, like for obvious reasons, because they've both passed in a very tragic way,
Mm-hmm.
and Jack Schlossberg, who's like the it guy now.
Who is this guy? Is this the...
So Jack Schlossberg is JFK's grandson. So he's JFK Jr.'s
Okay,
nephew.
okay.
Through excuse me, through JFK Jr.'s sister. Um,
Okay.
and he's voiced that he's very upset about this show. So when they announced the show, he was immediately like, "This is messed up. You shouldn't do this."
Yeah.
And Ryan Murphy, because this is a Ryan Murphy show, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Ryan Murphy
Yeah.
went on Gavin Newsom's podcast, of all places to go, and complained about that, and basically said something along the lines of like, "Why would you be so upset about a show about a relative that you don't even remember?" And
That's
isn't
so
that
fucked
so
up.
that's so messed up?
Ryan
And
Murphy
He's a menace.
is a
Prison.
genuine
Another
menace,
one.
and
Prison.
that show that he did with Kim Kardashian, I watched someone like review it. They're like, it was one of those like, I watched this show so you don't have to. Like, holy shit,
just
that was a
saw-
fucking fever dream of a show.
The Pussy Rat. The Sarah Paulson Pussy Rat.
Yeah. I like Ryan Murphy needs to be tried for his crimes.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
All
Like,
all of his serial killer ones are just truly
Are
like so
truly
offensive.
so offensive.
so offensive.
Remember
It's
when was it the
insane.
Dahmer one when he was like,
Yeah.
we tried to reach out to the families and none of them responded. Do you think that means they're okay with it? I think that means they're not okay with
Literally.
it.
Exactly.
But like, who are you to say that this guy doesn't remember his uncle? Like he was sick
Literally.
when he died, and Jack Schlossberg like kind of clapped back at that and was like, "No, I remember he would pick me up from school. I remember the day he got married. He was the ring bearer at his wedding. He goes, I remember the day he died. I remember his funeral. Like, who are you to say I don't
Well, the
remember?"
thing is that you don't even need to like remember a relative to feel the loss of the relative in
Exactly.
your life. Like
To like
in a
see your
family, like,
mother
it's tragic.
grieve her brother.
Exactly. It's tragic regardless of if you remember the person or
Exactly.
not. Ryan Murphy
Wild
is
thing.
genuinely a menace. Like, he's a menace to
Genuinely.
society.
And
Throw him away.
yeah,
Literally.
yeah. But on top of all that, last month or a couple months ago, the Kennedy family lost another member.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jack's elder sister passed away from cancer. So it's like you're kind of just like piling on this poor family. I know, it's awful.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why they didn't think to maybe push the release of this or do anything given that.
Yeah.
It's
They
just
don't care.
they don't care.
All Ryan Murphy does is just like exploit stories for the thrill of it, for like the shock value. And like that's, you know, you can so clearly see that in his movies about, or series or movies or whatever, about serial killers, and even to an extent like American Horror Story. Like that was just meant to shock people.
Oh yeah.
So anyway though, Carolyn Bessette
Yeah.
was JFK Jr.'s wife, and she was very much that girl. She was the it girl of the
She
90s,
was the
very
it
much
girl.
so. And I haven't watched the show yet, but I am seeing everyone's reactions to it on TikTok and on Twitter. And I think it's very interesting how people like attach themselves to these figures so quickly. And I'm seeing people now being so, and if you don't know, Carolyn Bessette, her style was very iconic, but it's very much known for being so minimalistic. It is very simple. She would wear a pair of straight cut jeans and a white top and just no jewelry. And that was her whole thing. And now I'm seeing people online going, where do I get the Carolyn Bessette black turtleneck? Like, what do you mean the Carolyn Bessette
Just
black turtleneck? It's any black turtleneck.
literally.
And I think there's like a level of like, it's okay to feel inspired by something, by a new show. But you know what? I'll say one thing. I don't think, because everyone now is debating, Carolyn Bessette would wear this. She wouldn't wear that. What would she do? You didn't know her. But one thing, I don't think Carolyn Bessette would replace her entire wardrobe because of a TV show that just came out.
So true.
Carolyn Bessette probably didn't watch TV. Let's be
Probably.
No, but that's so true. Like, it's just, it goes to show you like kind of where we're at in like influencing and like needing to get the exact details of someone's outfit in order to like recreate that on yourself. And I think that's also, I think, reflective of where we're at with like the it girl and like influencers. But I think that
But also,
you'll probably get to that.
It's not a new thing. Like the it girl
okay.
exists pretty much as an advertising figure.
Yep.
Like the way that the it girl is used, the reason it was created in the first place, like it's all about marketing. And I do think attaching specific brands to people, I mean, you're right, we're seeing this on like an entirely different scale right now. But it's something that's been slowly developing over the century, which leads me nicely into
Hey!
today's episode is going to be all about the it girl. We're going to talk about the history, the origins, and then I'm interested to get into who can be the it girl now, because I feel like it girl economics have changed slightly over the past couple years, and I want to get into it with you guys.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Oh, okay. This is going to be a journey. Because I
I'm
will
ready.
say, I will just like preface this whole thing with there are no definitive it girl. Like, there's not a list of, I mean, there kind of is a list, but
Yeah.
everyone has their own personal it girls, okay? I'm not saying that these are the end and be all of it girls. How many times am I going to say it girls? Woo! So we'll start at the very beginning. The phrase is largely accredited to Eleanor Glynn, who was a writer in the early 1900s, and it's attached to a film called It, which starred Clara Bow and came out in 1927. And Glynn describes, this is in an interview with Photoplay in 1926, she describes it as the peculiar fascination possessed by men much oftener than women, which makes them immensely attractive to all women and even men. It is largely to do with animal magnetism. The person who possesses it is always utterly unself-conscious and perfectly indifferent and unaware of anyone's interest in him. So interestingly, the idea of it was like posed as a masculine trait or something that mostly men had. I think the closest word you could use is charisma, right? Like the idea that you're attracting people with this mysterious essence and aura. But it's not, I will just say Glynn didn't come up with this term. It seems to have been used by lots of other writers. Like it was used by Rudyard Kipling in Traffics and Discoveries. So it might have just been kind of common slang, like a colloquial term of the like late Victorian, early Edwardian. But Glynn was the one that kind of made it a trope or like a marketing ploy, because it was how the film ended up being marketed. And Clara Bow ended up being the very first it girl.
I love her.
So before...
She's very cool.
Yeah, I love her eyebrows. Those eyebrows are coming back. But before the it girl, socialites, would they have been like, because they were kind of more known to society, would that have been kind of it girl adjacent, or was it really just like
kind of, I would
Hollywood
say,
and
Hollywood definitely, I cemented it as this kind of set trope and this like identifiable phrase to use on posters and in magazines and all of that. But you've always had women that have been in the public eye and who have been seen as like aspirational. I mean, like Marie Antoinette, right? You could say that she was an it girl
royalty was a big one.
Yeah.
Because you just have to think of like whose image was accessible, like royalty.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of like, there are like popular mistresses. So it's like Charles II's mistress was a big one. I'm forgetting her name now, but she was in print media a lot. There were a lot of satirical prints and stuff making fun of her fashion and things like that. So it is, yeah, I think Maggie's right. It's about visibility. And royalty tended to be the most visible. And kind of like safe to talk about in that way, I guess, because they were almost so elevated that you could kind of say anything, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So it originally started off being quite like, the idea of it was linked a lot to sexuality and like sex appeal. And so like Clara Bow was a quite asexualized figure. And I say that that's kind of how it has changed to now. Like, I feel like sex appeal isn't so much a part of it. And to me now, the it girl is very much centered around like a feminine gaze as opposed to a male gaze.
Okay.
Like, it's women and queer people that are deciding who the it person is now, I would argue. But I'll get into that. So into the 30s, the it girl the phrase fell out of fashion. Now it was more about glamour. Specifically, I think in the interwar period, because everyone's lacking glamour in their life, obviously, for obvious reasons. Did you consider World War II? Sorry, that just makes me
Did you know about that? Did you know about World War II?
I actually had no idea. I've actually never heard of that.
Actually, didn't know that happened.
I also don't think that necessarily caused that many issues for people, I would say. Like, I feel like it was probably...
No, it had very little impact.
Okay. Yeah.
So can we clarify what that was just before we go on?
That was a comment that Maggie got in her dissertation presentation thingy.
Yeah.
Did you consider World War II?
Did you consider World War II?
I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Did you think I was just saying that?
I thought
my
that was
grandpa
just from
fought in that
something.
war, but I had no idea about it. Will you tell me?
But I actually had no idea. I totally forgot that happened. Yeah.
Oh, what a time.
Anyway.
Anyway. And I think in this time, sex appeal became less front-facing, I guess. It was more about this kind of like elegant, feminine, like, ethereal kind of image. And this is where the socialite aspect comes in as well. So I'd never heard of this name, Brenda Fraser, but she was kind of the ultimate it girl of the 30s. She was a New York heiress. Not like, her parents weren't anyone that you would recognize the name of, but she became very visible in the public sphere. With cafe culture, that was a big thing. Cafe society, just again being seen in public, being seen in these public places, and wanting to be seen. She was also in a few commercials and advertising, which is where that starts to kind of come into play as well.
She looks a lot like Clara Bow.
Well, this is a theme you will see.
Okay. I'm just like, I as I'm scrolling through the pictures, I honestly thought it was Clara Bow when I was going through, but yeah, wow. Okay.
Then we get into the 40s and then the 50s, and that's when the pin-up girl becomes a thing. Again, the term it girl isn't really being used anymore. Pin-up replaces it. This is very much about sex. It's about a curvaceous figure. I saw this like crazy quote that I have to pull up, but it was something about like, oh, where is it? No, I've lost it. Essentially about how like post-war the like bosom came to reference like the comforting.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, like something.
That.
Oh, God.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just read that and I was like, oh, no. Oh, here. The 50s were obsessed with breasts as a cushioning comfort after the war.
Like a maternal sort
not a
of thing, I
cushioning
guess.
Oh, God.
Who is
like,
the Freud is like rolling, rising from his grave.
Literally. It's just a pillow, guys.
It's just a pillow.
Anyway,
Really head on.
Anyway. Then, so before Marilyn, because I think a lot of people would associate 50s with Marilyn, but before that there was Betty Grable, and she was kind of the first, I'm not going to say first, most iconic pinup of the 40s. Again, she looks very similar to Marilyn, or I guess Marilyn looks similar to her.
Yeah.
But you get the blonde hair, curvaceous body, and a red lip, which, if that sounds familiar, is because it was the markers of Marilyn. And I think we can safely say that Marilyn is probably one of the most famous women in the world. She's had probably one of the most lasting, iconic aesthetics and images. And what I find most interesting about her is that she was entirely manufactured by other people. Like, Marilyn Monroe is not a real person. So she was born Norma Jean. Yes, Norma. Which I love the name Norma Jean. I just think
so
that's
sweet.
like... Anyway.
Yeah.
She was molded into the figure we now know as Marilyn. Her brown hair was bleached blonde. They told her to make her voice that kind of wispy, sultry kind of tone. And the iconic red lip was obviously painted on. Honestly, I don't think anyone has a definitive reason as to why Marilyn was so iconic. Because there were other women of that time who, you know, were in the same circles, were doing the same. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor, like, you have other women around, but there was something about Marilyn, that it factor.
Have you heard that story? You might be bringing it up, but there's a story about her where, and I don't even know if this is true, but there's a story about her being out and about with a friend and just like being totally dressed down and no one recognizing her, and then Marilyn saying, do you want to see her or something like that, and like turned it on, and then they were being swarmed, and it like nothing changed about the outfit, nothing. It's just like, I don't know, she just had that it factor.
That's kind of sad.
There's a nice little...
That
it is
like
kind of
a
sad,
story. Also,
and I get into the sadness aspect as well, because I think my big theory in all of this with the It Girl is that people are obsessed with the sadness of pretty people.
Oh yeah, the tragedy.
The tragedy of pretty.
A tragic
people
beauty.
love it. They eat that shit
People
up.
love a tragic beauty. Yeah.
They do.
Truly. The one thing that I did want to say about the pinup girl, just like Betty Grable and Marilyn Monroe, is it's interesting seeing what a time period considers to be curvy. Because I look at the two of them, and those are just thin women.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, I don't know if that's like my 21st century like mind kind of like seeing maybe more body diversity in like the media now, potentially, even though even that is like, you know, not necessarily that much body diversity, but just looking at the two of them, I'm like, those are incredibly thin women, especially Betty Grable. Like, and I think that shows you more than anything the period that they're coming from, of like, the 20s was a very thin period of time. Like, that was the body type that people were going for. And so, you know, it eventually evolved into a slightly like more curvy frame in comparison to that. But even when you look at it, I don't know.
No, that's a
just
really good.
doesn't
I'm
feel
glad
that
that you said that
curvaceous.
because you are
Yeah.
so right.
It's just it's crazy to
It is wild.
Yeah,
And to be honest, curvaceous just means they had boobs. I think that was it.
literally.
Yeah.
I think that's what
Yeah.
it really means.
Yeah, and maybe like a hip here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a hip, maybe.
Maybe
Potentially.
One.
just one.
That's all they'll
Someone
allow
I
for.
do want to like shout out quickly because I just think she's kind of iconic. Is Jane Mansfield. So Jane was obsessed with Marilyn, I think it's safe to say, and really liked to kind of emulate her in her looks. But a little line that I wrote, which I think is kind of sums it up, she's a woman who actively chased the photographers as opposed to having them chase her. Like, she was out here walking her like ocelots and like she wanted people to look.
Doing
She
pap
really
walks back in
wanted-
the day.
Yeah, literally. And you've probably both seen this photo before, but it's the one where she's leaning over. I'm blanking on her name, Sophia. Blah 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 blah. What is her name? I've not it. But it's the where she's got the tits out.
Oh, this picture, yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. But
Honestly, she looks good.
Yeah, but she was a joke. She was kind of considered
Wow.
to be a joke because she wanted it. She wanted the attention. She wanted people to look.
It's
I just
very
think that's
Kardashian.
really-
I think that potentially also shows that like part of the it girl, at least at the time, was not wanting it, which feels very like weird and like
It's very messed up. Yeah.
That's
yeah, it feels
definitely
very
a part
like
of it.
like
You can't want it
like
too
she
bad.
wanted it
absolutely,
kind
yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's essential to have a bit of like an air of like nonchalance to be an it girl. Like that's a big part of it.
Absolutely.
It needs to be natural.
Which-
It needs to just be like or it needs to appear to be
yeah
like totally casual for you, like to be this way. It's part of your aura.
So the 60s rolled in and the curves straightened out. So we have, is it Edie Sedgwick?
I think Edie. Yeah.
Edie, right? So I think like Edie and Twiggy were kind of the moment
Absolutely.
for the 60s. You have the cropped hair, the boyish pixie cut, but also you have feminism coming in. You have second wave feminism, which, so sex became part of it again, but in a way that was kind of wrapped up in this kind of like liberation and this kind of freer, empowered conception of femininity. Similarly to all the other women that I have mentioned so far, Edie Sedgwick came from a very traumatic childhood. She struggled with eating disorders her whole life. She struggles with addiction. And I think that is also part of the it girl. It's that the struggle, the pain behind the eyes, whatever you want to call it. And with this, like, that's what attracted Andy Warhol. So if you don't know, Edie Sedgwick was Andy Warhol's kind of muse for a bit at least. And he says that he was attracted to the brokenness and the pain behind the beauty. Boo! But I will say, I don't think that he is alone in that sentiment. I think people love to see a broken, pretty girl. It's a trope that we see, I mean, constantly, all the time. Like,
I mean, I think of
Euphoria.
just Euphoria. Think of every piece of content ever made about Princess Diana. Like,
Yes,
Truly.
yeah.
Truly.
it's like tragedy porn. People love it.
Yeah.
People want to see a pretty girl cry. And I think Twiggy is kind of a nice contrast with that because Twiggy seems to have had a pretty chill life. She comes to the
Hey.
museum sometimes. She doesn't like to be like in the spotlight. She kind of stays out of things. I think she's led like a pretty
love
ordinary
her.
life, and that makes me happy. I'm like, good for you, Miss Twiggy.
That's
I
awesome.
love that interview that she did with Woody Allen. You know that?
Yeah, where he was like trying to say that she was essentially saying she's stupid, and he like she
And
like,
she turned it
completely
right back on him.
shut him down.
Have you not seen that, Em?
No, I have not.
You should
He
look it up.
asks
It's a great
her-
moment.
He asks her what her favorite philosophers are. And she goes, I don't have any. Who are your, like, what, who's yours? And he goes, oh, I like all of them. And she goes, I don't know their names though. Tell me their names. And he can't. And it's so iconic.
That's incredible. Wow. Calling
She
him
just
out on
seems
his
really cool.
bullshit.
Yeah.
She's just a cool lady.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot to say for the 70s and 80s because, again, the concept of the it girl still wasn't really being used anymore. But I feel like I have to mention Jane Birkin because I think Jane Birkin is considered an it girl in today's age. So she was an actress. She was an actress in the 70s, but became very iconic for, again, this very nonchalant, this effortless kind of style. People liked her because she was kind of weird. So a big thing that people picked up on was she would always carry a wicker basket instead of like a handbag. And that was, people were like, that's crazy. And she's like, I don't know, it's just my bag. And here you kind of see the idea of like a personal style coming in and this idea of authenticity. Because before, these looks were very manufactured. It wasn't so much about the person outside of the screen. It was like they were still hounded by press and tabloids and all of that, but in terms of style they were still known for the image on screen and in photo shoots. But I think with Jane, this is where we kind of see a bit more of a personal style, a personal aesthetic, an aesthetic that people want to then reproduce. Again, I would say the reproduction bit is more today because people love, I'm sure every girlie has Jane Birkin on her Pinterest board, I think. Like,
I do.
I'm going to be so real. I have no idea who Jane Birkin is. I've never seen her.
And that's okay. She kind of, again, she was an actress in the 70s. She became popular because of her style and the people that she dated. But what she's best known for now is she sat next to someone who worked at Hermes on a flight, and through that interaction was how the Birkin bag was created.
Oh, wow.
It was named after her.
And the Birkin bag is one of the most sought after purses.
Exactly.
Yes.
But the point, the fun kind of juxtaposition of that is that it was meant to be a bag that you could use for everything. And you see a lot of pictures of Jane with her Birkins, and they're like overflowing with stuff, and you know they've got that crushed leather look.
She used that bag to death.
She did indeed. Now it's become something that like you lock behind a glass door.
Yeah. You keep in
So
pristine
expensive.
condition.
But it sells. It still sells. The it girl sells. In the 80s, I think like Cindy Crawford, Brooke Shields, it's more of the same stuff. Obviously with Brooke Shields you have the whole like child aspect of it, which I will say a lot of these women, when we talk about not having curves, they have very prepubescent bodies, and I think that should be noted. Like there is, I don't know, I don't know how,
no, that should be noted.
I was looking into Clara Bow before we started, and because I was just curious about her, and I saw that she like a lot of her earlier roles, she like played the tomboy, and so she like purposely was put in like little boy costumes and was meant to be like, you know, very young, but at the time I think she was like 22, 23 in those movies. So I think that I definitely think a part of it is a prepubescent body, as much as that like pains me to say. But I think unfortunately a lot of media is very pedophilic, and
absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get into it much with this just because I think the context is slightly different. But I do think it has to be noted, you know.
It should, yes.
Absolutely.
And that's on everyone. Just maybe think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
consider
like,
that, ponder that,
time.
unpack that as you will, as you please. And I mean, it is kind of, you know, we're talking about this on the wake of like Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest, and let's just move forward. We all know, everyone knows.
So we have the 90s girls, which this is getting to the point where there are just too many people for me to like get into everyone. But I'll throw out a couple names. So obviously Princess Diana has to be noted. She's 80s going into 90s, but we got to say her name. And then Kate Moss, which I mentioned. Say her name. Britney.
Of course.
Paris Hilton. Pamela Anderson. Which is why I did the head today. Well, Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, who we mentioned at the beginning. And I'm just going to wrap all of that up by saying, if you do a side-by-side of every single woman that I have mentioned so far, you will find out they all look the same.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that look is tall, thin, white, blonde. Yeah.
Slightly prepubescent. Yeah.
Slightly prepubescent.
And because you see that Marilyn and Pamela are probably the most two like controversial of the it girls. They also happen to be the two women who actually have boobs and like a butt.
This is a heavier conversation.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm like,
well,
but no, it needs to be said.
I tricked you into thinking this was about girls.
Unfortunately, it's about the darkness of the it girl.
Well, it is about what we've been told is aspirational and what is the epitome of femininity. And I think it just like these things have to be said, you know? But exiting that for a second, or just like letting you ponder that for a second, a huge part of it girls is also the way the image is consumed, right? So tabloid culture, paparazzi, evil things, evil creatures.
Truly.
Every single one of these women were harassed, followed by paparazzi constantly. Their image was in constant circulation because they were constantly being followed. They didn't have control over the way that their image was being disseminated. It was bad. This is what I was going to say. The reason that authenticity came into it was largely because paparazzi were following these people. And then you have the idea of like the perfect candid shot. I think a lot of these women, the most iconic images tend to be these like iconic, like candid shots of them just going about life. And I don't know if you saw, Maggie, did you see the Sadie Sink at Maya Hawke's wedding?
Yes.
So Maya Hawke just got married on the streets of New York, so it was quite visible who the guests were, and Sadie Sink was there. And there is this really gorgeous candid shot of her that was taken, and like I saw that and I made you look, that's going to be on Pinterest boards everywhere. This idea of capturing this kind of like fleeting but perfect, like beautiful image, I think is really key to selling the it girl.
I think it's like the effort. You have to be effortless.
It's like the idea.
Seems like
selling the idea that she's just like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like
So I've got
she is.
Think it's just,
I guess
she is.
Like that is a real picture of her that was taken.
Yeah. That is her. But it's the idea of being relatable and yet unknowable, and then aspirational but unattainable. So it's these like walking this tightrope between you can be her, but also you can never be her. You never will be her.
And then also you can't want it. Like you can't.
Well, that's like the thing, because the minute you try to be her, you ruin it.
You're trying too hard. You're trying too hard, and also you can't have power in your life like that.
Yeah.
You can't have like control of the attention that you get from the media and online, because then
which brings us to the final part of the it girl life cycle, which is of course the inevitable end. The it girl must be torn down. She must be ripped from the pedestal publicly and viciously. And I think this becomes more of an active thing in the past few decades. So you have Pamela Anderson, the sex tape getting leaked, her being absolutely torn apart. You have, I mean, Britney, need I say more?
Truly.
Kate Moss, she was photographed snorting cocaine, and that was like the downfall of her. They eventually become people to hate, and for the public to just spit all of their vitriol onto. I think Jennifer Lawrence is also a good example of this, a more recent up and down that we've seen. I think nowadays it happens quicker, but
Yes.
it has to happen. It's part of it. It's part of the it girl, because we can't love someone forever, because ultimately we're jealous of them. We're jealous of them, and seeing them being brought down brings people joy. And that's kind of the awfulness of the it girl. So it's like with the harassment of the paparazzi, it's also these people trying to catch the women in a humiliating situation, like to catch them with their pants down, metaphorically and literally. Like they would try and get upskirt photos of these girls all the time,
Right.
and it was a means of humiliating them and punishing them for being too pretty, too popular and successful. And I think that kind of sums it up. Like, we give them the power and we put them on the pedestal, and then we get annoyed because they're too perfect, and we go, no.
They want to
also
see the
seems
rise, but
like-
they don't want you to stay on top.
Yeah.
They like that's the part people like, is when you rise up, and then they like the takedown.
Yeah, because
It
there'll
also
always be
seems
a
like-
new it girl.
Truly. It seems like part of it too is like the second that the person is like simply living their life and not doing things in a very like manufactured or like perfect way, as like the it girl seemingly like has to be, like, you know, not doing anything bad like snorting cocaine, but the second that they do something just as a person, or I think more importantly does start to act in a way that you know, is maybe not necessarily okay for the public, because they have all of this fame and attention and it's starting to get to them. I think especially with like Britney Spears, like once they start to kind of have like, you know, a quote unquote psychotic break. You also see that with like Amanda Bynes too, like they're, well, you know, now they're just crazy, and they've like, you know, they have a drug addiction, like there's something going on that people are uncomfortable with, and so then you see the downfall of that it girl.
That actually,
and I
reminds
also
me of another. I'll just
yeah.
throw in a little quote from the book I've been mostly quoting is by Caroline Young, and it came out only last year actually. It's called The It Girls, Glamour, Celebrity and Scandal. But she has a line in it that I really like, which is, it girls have been blamed for the ills of the world. Like Kate Moss was accused of encouraging anorexia, and Kim Kardashian has been blamed for encouraging cosmetic surgery. We like to project everything that is wrong with society onto a singular woman.
That makes me think of the Olsen twins too, because they were growing up, coming of age as these it girls, like for other girls. But, you know, they were treated so poorly by the media, by basically everyone in the industry. And they, I think very gracefully, when they became adults, they removed themselves from that arena. And I don't know I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I see this a lot. I see people photoshopping them, because they still obviously make the occasional public appearance for their brand. They photoshop them to look like a lot older than they do, or like they've been through something. I've seen that. And they say, oh, look how the Olsen twins, look how they've aged so poorly. Look at this.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, because it's like they removed themselves without too much fanfare, I think. And it's almost like, okay, you didn't give us this moment that will allow us to humiliate you forever with it. So we're just going to like make it ourselves, because we want so badly to humiliate you.
Oh,
I know.
that's crazy.
That's really sad. what are y'all's thoughts on Kim Kardashian wearing the Marilyn Monroe dress to the Met Gala? Because that's kind of what I've been thinking about as we've been talking about this. Because you mentioned Kim Kardashian and like how the her people saying that she encourages people to get plastic surgery because she gets plastic surgery, and obviously there was a lot of controversy at the time because I know she like lost a lot of weight to fit into the dress, and it was kind of, you know.
She spoke very publicly about that for a long time.
Yeah. The Kardashians were the it girls. I think we have to acknowledge that they were the it girls of the 2010s. And I think that with that whole situation, it was ultimately down to like she never should have been loaned that dress in the first place. Like that's ultimately just what it wasn't in the right hands.
I'm more upset with the curators who thought that would be an okay thing to do.
Exactly,
really.
that's what I mean. Like they were, because it wasn't even. It was like an auction house or something.
It was Ripley's Believe It or Not
auction house
that had it.
Oh,
and so they weren't even looking after it properly initially.
No.
Anyway, that whole situation, I think it actually. People saying like, oh, she doesn't deserve to wear that dress or something, like by her wearing it she's making it tacky, or she's like, you know, devaluing it in some way. That is kind of where I'm like, listen, I don't agree with I don't like the Kardashians. I don't agree with a lot of their, you know, their actions, and I do think they have had a negative influence on young women. But with that situation, I don't know. I just thought...
And I think it's much more nuanced than people are giving it, for sure.
Yeah. Because what does it mean to be deserving of wearing a dress?
Exactly.
Especially like, I mean, I think, I know a lot of conservators were like very frustrated by the situation, and I can understand that to an extent, but also preserving the longevity of a object is a very controversial topic, and I think you don't just because something is made doesn't mean that it needs to last for the you know, until the dawn of time. Like it can be worn, and it can be worn in different contexts too, and I think that becomes a part of the history of the Marilyn Monroe dress is now that Kim Kardashian wore it, and I think that makes it really interesting. I think that makes objects and dresses really interesting. I think what becomes frustrating for me is the idea of, and I think it's more of like a personal thing, like Kim Kardashian can do whatever she wants with her body. I don't care. Like she's a human being. She's an adult. She can do whatever she wants. What makes me sad is the idea of distorting your body in order to fit into a garment. That feels like, for me personally, I wouldn't do that, because I want clothing to fit me. I don't want to fit clothing. But you know, and I do think that potentially sets a bad precedent for young people who are watching Kim Kardashian and are aware that she, you know, lost all of this weight in order to fit into this garment, especially because she is someone who has so much money and could have had it made for herself. Like she could have hired someone to completely make the gown exactly how it was originally made, and she
wore that in the dinner.
And she could have just worn that, but I think it was meant to be this moment, and I think that is interesting. Like I think her wearing a Marilyn Monroe dress and essentially putting her within Marilyn Monroe's history is interesting in a lot of ways. I don't necessarily know if it's good or bad. I don't think it needs to be good or bad, but I think it created a moment, it created a conversation, and I find that to be, you know, ground for, you know, interesting conversations. I just feel the fact that she changed her body so much to fit into a garment just makes me sad, I think, more than anything.
And I will say too, like, I agree with you that a dress is really just a dress at the end of the day, and like why it's an interesting discussion of like what is worth preserving, and are we putting too much weight in preserving these objects? But at the same time, one thing you mentioned was it can be worn in many different contexts, and like that adds to the history. But I think the thing that upsets me about this is I think the context, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the context that Kim was trying to use in that moment was that it was Marilyn Monroe's dress. Like it wasn't like she was trying to invoke Marilyn's image. And as we were just talking about Marilyn, a woman who was like tormented her entire life by the media, by paparazzi. And so another part of me is just like, I like stop invoking her image. Like, can we just let this woman rest? Like it's no business of anyone's to keep bringing her up again and again for discussion decades after she's passed away.
That's a really good
leads me
point.
to another question I have for you guys is that we are living in the age of reference. Like all of the major pop stars, no one is making moments themselves. It's all about referencing, about wearing archive, about recreating moments. And I think it's interesting in the context of the It Girl, because a lot of the times people will say like, oh, it's not the dress, it's who wears it, right? So when Kim Kardashian was wearing it, it's like, oh, well, the dress is actually ugly. We only cared about it because it was Marilyn, and Marilyn had that special something, you know? And I just think it's the way that we talk about the fashion of these women in general, we kind of fail to acknowledge that it's really not about the clothes at all.
Nope.
And that like I guess I'm trying to say like the power is in the image, not in the items of clothing. I'm really
And that brings us to my dissertation.
Ooh, yeah. No, but really, I think it does tie into your stuff a lot. Like the way that this image was commercialized, I think, to sell material objects when it's actually got nothing to do with the objects themselves.
Nothing.
I just think is fascinating.
Yeah. You want to look like the person, not necessarily wearing the clothing. You're not necessarily interested in the clothing. You want to look like one of these It girls.
The Carolyn Bessette stuff that's happening right now, I think, is just like kind of the perfect case study for this, because her outfits were so plain. And I'm seeing a lot of people trying to recreate her outfits and then being frustrated because it doesn't give the same vibe. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. And I don't think we should, it should very much be noted that, and we've discussed this a little bit, a lot of it is to do with their bodies and the way it looks on them.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that I've really been thinking about as we've been saying all of this, is is it a look, or are they just skinny? And I think a lot about that, like, picture of Kendall Jenner back in, like, I don't know, 2016, wearing the white shirt and jean shorts, and then people, like, you know, compared it to this image of this other woman who wasn't skinny, who was wearing the same exact outfit, and that image had, like, gone viral on the internet because people were making fun of her. And then Kendall Jenner is seen wearing the same exact outfit, and everyone's, like, freaking out about it, and everyone needs to be wearing a white t-shirt and jean shorts just like Kendall Jenner, even though that's the most basic outfit that you could ever wear. And so I really think it has a lot to do with their bodies and what like, you know, essentially, like, beauty standards and body standards. And that's the only reason why, you know, someone like Carolyn Bessette potentially, you know, was this, like, icon. Even though she was wearing these really simple outfits, they became important outfits because of how she looked ultimately.
And I think it comes down to the whole idea of aspirational but unattainable. And a big part of the unattainable is the body part. It's that you're never going to look how these women look. Exactly. I do think, though, that there is an aspect of personal style here that is also, like, playing a role, because these a lot of the times the reasons that these women's fashion was idolized is because they were wearing what they wanted to wear. Like I said with Jane Birkin, is that originally she was noticed because she was making choices that other people weren't making, because that's just what she wanted to wear. That's what she wanted to, you know, that's the bag she chose. And I think that's what gets lost in the recreation, is that you're not wearing things you want to wear. You're wearing things that you think will make you look good. And that is this whole kind of catch-22 of it.
Yeah.
Because they are still, these women are still very much the beauty standard, and they are wearing things that make them look good. That's not, I'm not saying that's not true. It's just, there's this, I just realized that a lot of people wear clothes not because they care about, like, a lot of people wear clothes because they want to look good as opposed to liking the clothes that they wear. And I think that is a big part of the it girl thing and the it girl style, is because people, what they really want is to represent themselves in a way that feels authentic to them, but they don't know how to do that, so they just recreate when they see other people doing it.
Yeah. I might have brought this up in a previous episode, but it's still so applicable. There was a few weeks ago, I saw a girl was kind of going viral on TikTok because she had this handbag and she put buttons, like pins, all over it. And it was really cute and fun. And she was showing off her bag. And then all these women who are trying, like, where'd you get that bag? Where'd you get that bag? And she told them. And then well, where'd you get the buttons? And it's like, well, she collected those buttons over time. And then I saw someone made a TikTok like, oh, on Temu, you can get a pack of 200 buttons. And it's like, well, we're missing the exact
we've lost
point.
the point,
guys.
Yeah.
I think that just, especially with like TikTok and the like all of these like micro trends and whatnot, people are just looking for someone to style them, to like take that, you know, mental load off of them. Because I mean, I don't know, I wonder how much of it has to do with people not having the time to really put that much time and consideration into what they're wearing, or like, you know, even I think, like, you know, the difference between what you wear to work and what you want as your personal style. Like, it's socially acceptable to wear a certain number of things into the office, and that isn't necessarily what you know, want to be wearing in your day-to-day. And so much of your life is going into the office. Like, that's is really 40 hours of your week every week. And so, you know, it could also be taking that mental load off and being like, if I like the way that this person dresses, and so if I buy this and this on those chance moments where I'm not in the office and I'm not working and I have the energy to go out and do something, I can just recreate this look and feel like I have personal style.
Gotta bring up the white of it all. I feel like I've kind of skirted around that. Yeah. Mainly because each culture has their own it girl. So I don't want to say that like all it girls are only white and only look a certain way, because every like country is going to have their own personal it girl. But if we're talking about now in the age of globalization and you know, Hollywood, I think it's safe to say that we still don't really have, only in the past 5 years have we got like darker skinned it girls. I think Zendaya was probably like the first kind of, I would consider it girl.
In my memory,
I will preface this. We're not talking about beautiful women, because there have been there have been
100%
beautiful, talented, smart
all colors and
women, of course.
Always. Like, they've always been around. We're talking about it girls, which is, as we've, you know, this whole episode has been this, it's a very specific framework, and it's a lot to do with the way that someone is talked about and the way their image is used. It's not necessarily about the person themselves. So I'll just preface that. So I think Zendaya, because she became such a big commercialized image. Like Zendaya sells things, you know. She's an ambassador to God knows how many brands. Like her image sells. It sells film tickets and it sells clothes. I can't really think of anyone
sells
else.
makeup.
Yeah, it sells water.
Literally.
Yeah, like
You're so right. I forgot
sells
about that
everything.
water bottle one. That was crazy. I think,
But yeah,
like Lupita kind of, she was kind of there, but I think she preferred to stay away from that side of things. I think now we're getting like Io. I think Io is considered, we can consider her an it girl for sure.
Definitely.
And in the past 2 years with Bridgerton, we've been getting the South Asian girlies. Like Simone Ashley, I would consider her an it girl.
Definitely.
And I've forgotten her name, but the other. Those two are the first time I've personally seen Indian women actually being portrayed as cool.
Yeah.
Like
as
not,
like desirable
not just
women too.
as desirable,
Like,
as cool,
100%.
as aspirational, and as fashionable. That's, I think, some of the first. And then also we're getting, you know, East Asian representation as well. Because K-pop's a whole other thing, and we could really get into that. Because I would argue that the it girls of today are the K-pop idols. Like, the fact that I went to a school in Nepal in the fucking mountains, and these kids were like saying, I love this K-pop idol, I want to be her, I want to be Jennie. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It
That
shows
reach
you the
is
reach,
wild.
which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
But I think we're getting to a point where like white beauty standards aren't necessarily the overriding ones. I'm not going to say that, like, it's still very much are, but the fact that these like little girls wanted to look Korean as opposed to white is saying something, you know?
Absolutely. Even though there are it girls in different countries that, you know, are not white, I think when you look at the context specifically of the US and the UK that are culturally diverse countries and have been for a while, the fact that when we're going through the 20s all the way to present and all of the it girls have been white, primarily blonde women, that shows you what from the 20s at the very least from the 20s to now have prioritized in beauty. And I think I actually read an article about the new wave of British it girls. One of the things that the people said, or the journalist said in the article, was that the it girls today are culturally diverse and are like for like there's like an it girl for every single subculture and like, you know, niche community. I think obviously because of the reach of social media and like being online, we're seeing people more than ever. And so I think that's cool that there can be an it girl if you're like really into punk. Maybe there's like a punk it girl that like, you know, people are really into. Like that's, you know, that's cool that it doesn't have to be just this like centralized one figure that's like the epitome for everyone of beauty and effortlessness and, you know, whatever.
I will say though, it's still very like obviously binary in terms of gender and sexuality. Like
Definitely.
these are women. These are femme women. And I think because the it girl is supposed to represent this ideal of femininity, I think that's a big part of it. But also it's interesting to see people like, I'm blanking on their name. They play Rhaenyra in House of the Dragon.
Oh, Emma Darcy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they really could have been an it person.
Hey.
Maybe that's the
It
reason.
person.
We need a snappier name.
That's the thing, because I'm saying like if a person who doesn't identify as a woman would be like in a position to be an it girl, they wouldn't really be an it girl, would they? You know?
Who's the other one? They were in The Last of Us.
Bella
Oh,
Ramsey.
what's her name?
Oh, yeah,
Bella Ramsey. People get so angry at them. Like, they get.
And I think
know.
that
we're
is
not-
just from
people hate
their,
Bella Ramsey.
but
They
it
do,
also
and
like
it's
they
so-
are unfortunately
Yeah.
like very associated, because The Last of Us is a video game, and video game culture on its own can be very toxic and
Yeah.
very offensive to anyone, and
guess.
misogynistic and all sorts. So like the backlash mostly came from those
Yeah.
communities, which is going to be a lot stronger.
I will say though, like Hunter Schafer, I would say, is an it girl trans woman,
Yeah.
and then also like Alex Kansani is like
Yes.
really big right
But
now.
I guess
And
we have to note that they're both very, like, they present in a very similar
And that's what
image as the
that's
rest,
what I was
the
gonna
rest of...
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say is like the only way for trans women to be an it girl is to be thin and blonde, like
Yeah.
and very very femme. Like there haven't been other trans women who are it girls who don't look like Hunter Schafer and Alex Kansani. I mean, I think it's like it's cool that we have
Oh, yeah, 100%.
trans girls who are like big in Hollywood, big in the media, but they're still they look like Kate Moss.
Pose? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I love Pose.
So I'm forgetting Angel's, the actress that plays Angel.
Yes. Yeah.
She should have been an it girl. Like
100%.
Stunning.
100%.
I think one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. But I think that's a good example of she has that aura. She has that thing,
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show she was part of a huge show and still
Literally
isn't really very well known outside of, I would say, queer circles.
100%. I mean, I'm just looking to see what she's been in like some things post Pose, but not necessarily all that much. Like I really thought that was gonna like launch her career into like, and she was gonna be everywhere. But I mean, she's had a good career. Not saying that.
Yeah, no, she's still successful, but she's.
But
not
I
an it
definitely
girl,
don't. Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna ask one more thing, which is about the it girl in the age of influencers, because
Yes.
The Cut did a article that is kind of about. The Cut did an article, which I think they called "Everyone's an It Girl Now" or something like that. And it's the idea that with influencers and influencer culture, kind of like what you were saying, Em, about how every subgenre has their own it girl. What does that do to the it girl economy? Like, is there a
Maybe it shows us that we are
we
putting
past
too
the
much.
it girl?
Maybe we're
Are we
putting
beyond
too
the
much
it
pressure
girl?
onto like one or a few people, and maybe
Yeah.
that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Both of you know Best Dressed, right?
Yeah,
Of course.
I think she's an interesting example because I would definitely call her an it girl of the internet. And then obviously like completely disappeared because people are crazy. And I wonder, are there any equivalent? I think she was kind
Emma
of the
Chamberlain?
last of that.
Well, Emma Chamberlain, yeah, and I think what's interesting about her is that there was a moment in time when people were like, why is she so popular? Like, how did she become as famous as she is?
She doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, she doesn't deserve it. Like, and I find that to be interesting because I think people are apprehensive to have influencers be it girls because there is this like idea that like, I mean, I've seen this in like online influencers going to award shows and being left out of group conversations with like actors and musicians, and so I think that there's this like idea that like influencers are tacky essentially, like they're not highbrow, like they're B-lister celebrities, and so I think
And also
influencers
Not
are,
even that.
people are apprehensive. Yeah, they have control. Yeah.
Curate their own image. And I think that's a big part of it.
People are really uncomfortable with that. They don't, I mean, it goes back to the whole, like, you know, you have to not want it in order to be an it girl, which is really creepy. And like, and so when you are curating your online presence, when you are like calling paparazzi on yourself, when you're in control of all of that, people think that it's tacky.
Do you remember when James Charles went to the Met Gala and he made a post about it? Like, he was like, this is really important for influencer representation.
Oh, Jamie Charles.
Yeah, that's, well, an it boy, some might say.
It boy. I did have a thought though, because earlier, earlier we were talking about how, you know, there's the rise of the it girl, and then they get to reign for a little while, but then people really love the fall of the it girl. And you mentioned this is happening faster now than it had happened maybe in the past, the rotations of them all. And I think it really is interesting in this new age of social media. Like, okay, for Kate Moss's fall, the pictures of her had to leak of her doing drugs, right? And just think of like nowadays, most people in their 20s have been on the internet since they were kids, and they have that digital footprint. And everyone has a camera on their phone, and just all of these things make it so much easier to find that fault. It's so much more public than it might have been. Like Kate Moss didn't grow up. I don't know a lot about Kate Moss, but Kate Moss, I'm sure, like, had privacy during her childhood at the very least. It's like now everything you've ever done badly, someone knows about and can go on TikTok and talk about it, or, you know, like there's just so many more ways to have that fall.
True. Yeah.
I think that's why it goes so fast.
I think Zendaya is going to be an interesting one to watch because she stays out of it. Like, she stays away as far as she can. And I'm really intrigued to see how the rest of her career goes, because I'm already like hearing the little like, she's not even that good of an actress. Like, why is she everywhere? Like, you hear the little like murmurings. And I think it's going to be interesting because she's got a run of films this year that I think is going to test it. I think it's going to, we're going to see. Yeah.
I'm curious to see what happens with her. I know, or I think kind of along the lines of wanting to like replicate the it girl's look. What's interesting about Zendaya is that so many people know her stylist, Law Roach, which is not something that like the average person really knows stylists all that much. Like, obviously there are notable stylists that exist and people know of, but really not that much. Like, only if you're really interested in like clothing and fashion do you know stylists. But so many people know Law, and I think that kind of shows the effect that Zendaya has kind of had, is people really want to recreate what Zendaya is doing.
But also, we don't know her personal style. At least I don't.
No, we don't, because it's all curated.
It's all curated. We know her from her curated looks. We don't know her from her like street style.
But what Law at least does say is that like her image is curated like by the both of them together. Like, it has seemed from their interviews that she's like an active participant in curating her image.
But I think it's smart from her end because she's able to have that separation that I think a lot of people don't get. Yeah, she's just like a really interesting case study. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think she definitely is. And again, we're all gonna eventually do episodes on our dissertations, but like a little sneak peek from mine is that commercial brands and designers, this is like historically we've seen it, they definitely understand the capital value of an it girl, and they work to align their brands with such. Like, so we see that with Law and the brands that Zendaya works with, and Zendaya. We saw it with like the biggest one ever, and this is what my dissertation is largely about, is Audrey Hepburn and Givenchy. Like it did not happen accidentally. That was a very, again, curated and calculated decision that, like, Givenchy wanted to associate his name with Audrey's image as much as he could.
And but interestingly, I think celebrity endorsements mean a lot less now than they used to.
Yes,
Because
it's got to be natural.
if you think about you think about the 90s and you think about like Calvin Klein, and he probably had the most iconic celebrity endorsements. Like, you associate Kate Moss with Calvin Klein, and I mean, you associate Carolyn Bessette because she worked there, but you know, there are these there were these big moments, you know, Brooke Shields in the jeans. Was it Calvin jeans?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of like an iconic celebrity designer pairing currently. This is more K-pop, which I don't know if you guys would know, but there was a Cat's Eye and Gap advert, which was huge.
Yeah.
But other than that,
That was big.
I can't really... Yeah.
Well,
And
Cat's
it's
Eye
not,
is-
that was kind of a one-off thing from what I understand too. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like for Law and Zendaya, and he's not a designer, a stylist, but like, and then for Givenchy and Audrey, it was years, like her entire career.
What I think, maybe this goes in line with the evolution of the it girl, but it seems like moments when you see celebrities wearing designers in those like publicity pictures of or the paparazzi pictures of them just kind of like casually living life, and you see them wearing like a bag, like Bottega or something, that seems to be more important than like what they wear on the runway, like the designers that they're wearing on the runway. Because I mean,
Absolutely.
just because I saw Wuthering Heights recently, I think about like Jacob Elordi and his Bottega bag, and like everyone like loves, people want, you know, even women want Bottega bags because he's wearing Bottega bags. It goes along maybe with like the evolution of the it girl, of like wanting that personal style and not necessarily those like curated red carpet looks. And so I think that is maybe, I think that I'd be interested in knowing kind of what fashion brands and designers, what their marketing looks like and how they work with celebrities and influencers, and if they want those like casual moments where they're wearing it when they're going to the, I don't know, celebrities probably don't go to the grocery store, but when they're going to the grocery store, you know, like if that's like a curated PR stunt.
It probably is. And also in K-pop, a big thing is airport outfits. So because people know like the group schedule, they know when they're going to be flying somewhere. So you will get photographers at the airport at that time. And now you get curated looks. Like, they get styled for the airport. Whoa. And that's a big thing. Like, I think honestly, designers need to be looking to Korea for like these kind of endorsements, because they're who's selling stuff. These guys, I don't know if you saw Twice at the Victoria's Secret runway. The bras that the members wore sold out immediately.
Wow.
Instantaneously. Like, they have a selling power that I don't think any Western celebrity has right now. But I don't see a lot of Western designers taking advantage of that at all. I think you'll see it more and more, especially with like BTS coming back and stuff like that. But the K-pop girlies are selling shit. So does the it girl exist anymore? Well, maybe, kind of, sort of.
I think in the way of social media and how every person is so accessible right now, like I think we talked about earlier, to be an it girl, your image had to be somewhat accessible so people would know who you are. But I think when your image has become so accessible, and when you're showing your morning routine and talking to the camera every single day, it kind of loses the magic a little bit. Not that it like, you know, I think that's just like the public perception of, I think an it girl needs to have a certain level of mystery to it, because what people do is they project themselves onto this it girl. Like, that's why people like the it girl. And when the it girl gives us too much information about herself, it makes it harder to do that.
I don't know. I think maybe maybe the It Girl just exists in a different way now. And she's evolving into something that we'll never understand.
Yeah.
She's becoming an Autobot. Now that's something I would like to see. If the It Girl could turn into a car, whoa.
And on that note, thanks for tuning in to this week of the Fire Skirt Pod. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.